So I'm Dansonn. I'm a producer out from Los Angeles. I've been producing since 2009, and I'm just trying to make good music. I have a lot of orchestral influences. I grew up listening to a lot of both hip hop and soundtrack music, like music and film, so I've definitely tried to combine the two for just the sound I make. But it's pretty flexible. I honestly just make whatever I'm feeling. I've been selling beats since 2010, so I've been selling pretty much 6 months after I started producing, but I've only been doing it full-time after I finished up school about 2.5 years now. So I went to school out in Los Angeles at USC, University of Southern California, and there I majored in business and minored in music industry. I chose to go with business just because I think being successful in the music industry is more about things like work ethic, that you can't learn a lot of these tangible things, more about the people you surround yourselves with, the work ethic you build, and I think that was really useful. Those are things that I got out of business school that helped me out. The best thing I got out of school was being around like-minded people. Not necessarily people working in music, but people who are very ambitious, entrepreneurial, just working really hard. That was by far the most beneficial thing that I got out of attending college. Besides that, the biggest thing I learned just by taking some of those classes, just learning to adapt, always staying fresh, keeping track of what's going on in the industry, whatever that is, and just making sure you're on top of it. I think the biggest thing is I kept my core sound the same. While a lot of people were doing different music, like the type beat movement that came up, I was still focused on doing that same blend of hip hop and soundtrack music that got me drawn to even make music to begin with. So I've always stayed focused on keeping true to that essence. Like, yeah, I've implemented different elements of more modern sounds to try to keep it fresh, but the core of my music I think has always changed. And I think that consistency has really helped me power through all the changes in the industry and just allow me to still be doing what I'm doing now. And you have to do everything, as much extra service, extra customer care to make your customers happy, because there's just so many people out there. So I think that's just from a purely business standpoint. I know if I was buying beats or buying any kind of product, I would love, good customer service, and it's a win-win. You feel good doing it, and the more loyalty you build with your customers, you hopefully have them on for a long time. One of the things that kind of kept me back maybe a few years ago from really growing my music is I was just not a fan of a lot of the top 40, a lot of the radio music. So one of those transitions I made was listening to a lot of radio music just to kind of study it. That doesn't mean you have to copy what's popular, but there's a reason why these songs are played on a radio. Maybe you don't think that's a good song, but it doesn't really matter. There's a reason why they're there, right? So I feel like there's always something to learn from different kinds of music on radio, whether it's the way they mix it, the type of production, the arrangement of the song. That is really important. I think more producers really need to start listening to more music outside of what they like, because you don't really go out of your comfort zone and listen to the same thing that you've liked for the last 10 years, right? So I think for me, a lot of music growth has helped from listening to different genres like pop, R&B, country, pretty much everything, just to kind of see what else is out there. So that's helped me kind of stay consistent and just continue to grow as well. In terms of business and sales, I think you just have to kind of be aware of what's going on, seeing what companies are popular coming up, like BeatStars, seeing how they run their businesses, and just seeing what tools are available for you. And then I think it's just important to be able to see, what tools and resources are available for you, and just seeing what works best for you as a business, and just being able to adapt accordingly. I get so many questions from people asking, like, how do I sell beats? I'm just starting to learn FL, but this is like step way further down the line in terms of being a successful artist. Like, people forget about actual music, which is kind of strange. I guess that's why it's called music business, but everyone I feel like is focused nowadays on the business, where the core, the feel to everything as a successful artist is the music. So number one, focus on music. I know it seems like common sense, but honestly, I don't think a lot of people follow that. BeatStars, luckily, is very convenient, very easy tool for producers, that it's really not that complicated. Just make good music, upload consistently, and just know what you're talking about. Me and Jin, we met about 5 years ago. I was interning at his management company where he was a signed artist, and we just kind of met there over time. I never worked with him musically until about 3 years ago, where I had the opportunity to submit music for one of his projects he was working on. None of the tracks actually placed on the album, but we had a couple that were promo singles, which was really cool and fulfilling for me as a big fan from him since he was a child back on BET. It was really surreal for me kind of seeing him work in the studio on my beat as someone I've grown up watching from way back in the day. So that was really cool. And since then, we've kind of kept contact. He's had projects here and there come up. He's always reached out to me for different beats he's used or wanted to, for different beats he's needed. I've always been there to kind of provide that. And most recently, he's been doing a lot of work in China, just doing pretty much everything from like commercials, releasing a couple singles, and luckily our relationship has allowed us to continue working as he's working on these lot of cool projects in China. So even that's been surreal for me, going back to working on projects in China, which was something I never thought would happen before. So it's exciting. So it's still early on, but we'll see what happens. When I was younger, like a teenager, and trying to figure out what I want to do musically, it was like being Asian was just, or being Chinese was just another element to that kind of played into, I guess, me not knowing where I really want to go. Because I mean, for me, I think the greatest power in change and growth, and not just music and anything, is the power of role models. And unfortunately for me, I didn't really see a lot of similar Chinese role models, which for me personally, that's very important for me. So it was hard to kind of, I guess, have the music industry feel accessible to me based on my background, very different background from a lot of these successful artists, producers that I loved listening to growing up. So that's why some guys like MC Jin were so important to me, just because he was out there really doing it. And I know for some people that doesn't really matter. They don't need that extra motivation, or that like really doesn't matter for some people. But for me, that was really special and important to me. But now I think it's just an advantage now. Like, there's not a lot of other Asian producers or artists, so it really helps me stick out. And it's like, when there's so much competition out there, so many people trying to do the same thing, I think any extra advantage is a blessing, right? I've never even been to China, so like, it's just very interesting that I mean, I can't say anything else besides it's surreal. Like, I definitely, back in 2009, started producing beats. That was never necessarily my goal or something I even had in my mind, making a record in China. But sometimes, you know, things work out the way they do, and you just have to adapt, embrace everything. So I've been very lucky and super blessed to have all these opportunities popping up in China, that it's just been a fun ride. I haven't really worked with a whole lot of artists like one-on-one the last couple of years, just because from a business standpoint, I really want to make sure I was good financially. Like, my biggest goal in music starting out was get my financial set, which in this case means, you know, building your BeatStars account, making your website look on point, have all of that, you know, working really well to give me the freedom to chase after the placements I really want. So I think right now I'm finally starting to transition into that kind of placement chasing, because luckily I have the financial stability to do so. So I think that's one of the greatest blessings about the online industry now, is to have that kind of opportunity. I don't have to submit placements, take any deal I can get, because that's all I'm making through music. Luckily, I have a lot more power, leverage to get deals and projects that hopefully are suitable for me. So yeah, I think I'm kind of in this transition point now. I'm happy where my online presence is, my online brand. I think I've created also a good resume as well to show any potential artists, potential partners, collaborators down the line that this is what I'm capable of, this is what I've done. I think I grew up in a very great time. Like, I was really lucky with timing of things like YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2009, 2010, so I already had a foothold in that industry. And luckily, the whole last couple of years, YouTube has blown up, especially for the online licensing industry. So that's been great for me to be able to just be a part of that. In terms of future, I just see, you know, just more and more innovative technology is going to come out. YouTube is going to continue to grow. BeatStars is going to continue to grow. And there's so many other services that I don't even know about, different companies that will continue to emerge and hopefully benefit and help this online entrepreneurship, this innovative group of people continue to grow by giving them all the tools and resources out there. Like you said, 10 years ago, it was way different. I've already seen so much change since just 2009 of making music that I can't even imagine what it's going to look like next year, 2 years from now. Besides, you know, the most important thing you can do is just adapt and pay attention. I think good music will power through everything. A lot of the business, a lot of the marketing helps accelerate that process, gets it to the right people, but it's useless having bad music getting to the right people. That just doesn't work out. But good music, if you can get to the right people, that's, you know, that's what makes a successful artist, in my opinion. So I think if you get good music going on, that's step one. Make sure you really focus on that, continue to grow that every single day. The business for me is secondary. And I think what's next, like I said, I have my foundation with the online licensing, that whole world going. So I'm definitely looking forward to pursuing more placements and explore more creatively as an artist. Just, you know, I mean, that's the whole reason why I'm even doing all of this, right? The whole reason I signed up with BeatStars, YouTube, put my music out everywhere, is just to get to this point where like I can chase after these placements and do whatever I want creatively with no limitations, whether it's financial or anything else. So I'm just excited for the future. Like, I really don't think too far ahead. It's just, you know, take every day, work as hard as you can, just try to keep track of what's going on and do your best. Regarding on social media, you can find me on YouTube. There's this Dansonn Beats, Instagram, Dansonn Beats. And I'm always uploading music all the time. So check out those social media platforms and my website, Dansonn.com. And hopefully you like what you hear.